everyone, my name is Jade and I want to share with you today how you can save up some money in order to be able to get rid of debt or to be able to buy something like a house. So in this case, being able to save up for a house deposit. Now this will include some tips that may be a bit extreme at times, but it's in the title. It's extreme frugality. It's frugality that is going to help you to reach your goals, hopefully quicker and sooner than you would like to have thought possible, but it is possible with some of these goals. So the areas I want to look at today include things like education, your food, cleaning, supplies and things like that. So the first area that I want to look at is food. So in order to be able to save in your food budget, you need to be able to think outside the square a little bit. So in this case, it might be looking at food that might be a little bit damaged or a bit bruised at the supermarket. Often when you have those fruits and vegetables that are a bit damaged, a lot of the food is still good. You just might need to pick through it and cut things out. But ultimately you end up with a lot of good produce if you get it at the right time and not too old. So for example, you don't want beetroots that are really soft, but you can get some things like grapes where you might only have to pick out a few grapes and you've got a nice big bag of grapes. And that's something that I actually did today. And one other thing to look at is dent stores that have food that might be close to use by date, or there might be something printed incorrectly on the label, so things like that, or products that haven't really sold well. Here in Australia, that sort of store is called Not Quite Right. I'm not sure what it is in other places, but often you can get great savings and often more than 50% of some items, which are still available in the mainstream stores, but for a lot more. One thing that we have done in our house, which is saved on our meat budget, is to actually buy the bones or the packets of bones that we get at our supermarket. This is at the Coles supermarket, and this includes just mainly lamb bones, and the bones are in a pack. They're listed as just bones, but in that pack there's actually a lot of really nice chops. They're not uniform in size. They're not going to be something that you would want to serve up in a restaurant. But for cheap meat at $7 a kilo, which is very good here in Australia, that's a way to get it. And for me, who loves lamb, then that's the way to go. And excuse me, I looking at my notes, so that's why I'm looking down in case you're wondering. One other thing that we do in our household is to use a slow cooker. That's been really beneficial in saving time and being able to produce meals very quickly and easily in some ways, so that we don't have to waste time in the evenings preparing meals, and we can just dump things in, and in the evening when we're ready we can have a meal that we prepared in the morning in 2 minutes, and that means that we're able to use the time that we would use cooking for something else that might be more profitable. So in the case of those of us who might be in America, you could use that time for coupon cutting. For me personally, I do surveys on the computer or on my phone in order to be able to make a little bit of extra cash. And in my case, I get Amazon vouchers, which I use. And the final point in the area of food that I want to look at is making recipes that only have a few items. So there's some really good books online and things on Pinterest that you can find that provide recipes that are quick and easy. So for example, if you type into Pinterest a busy day soup, you can get a wholesome soup that is easy to make, it's easy in the slow cooker, and it's a meal that can feed the family and a meal that you can take for lunch the next day, which is really, really good. And it's cheap. So the second area that I want to look at is exercise. So for exercise, you can look at going to a local park and just walking around the park. That's cheap. It's also a fun way to be able to have socialisation with friends, and it can be done any time of the day. Please be mindful if you do it at night time and you're in an area that might not be safe, but generally it's a good, cheap thing that you can do. Go into the park. Some parks have those free workout equipment that you can use, so that's really good. And you can also use YouTube and Pinterest to get ideas on how to be able to exercise at home for cheap, and it can give you tips on how to be able to exercise for free and for very cheap. So for example, I discovered quite a while ago that I didn't need to actually buy a yoga mat. I could just use a couple of towels on the floor, and that actually provided enough buffer between me and the floor to be able to do some stretching, and it was quite safe and quite comfortable, and it didn't really cost me anything because I already had the towels and I saved myself $10, so that was really good. One of the other things you can do is to attend free activities or community activities that are based around fitness and health. So for example, in my town they had a time a little while ago where we in the town were able to go and attend some soccer lessons for free. We were able to go and attend yoga classes and just things like that, so that we are able to have the opportunity to get fit and not cost us a fortune. So that was really good. And in saying that, if your community doesn't offer that, I think it would be a good idea to go and talk to your local council or shire, so that they may be able to see if they can get events, because as you will probably know, there's a big health kick at the moment, and it helps the local councils and shires if they have healthier people in their shire. So the next area that I want to look at is cleaning supplies. Excuse me. So one of the things that we've done is to borrow cleaning equipment when we've needed it and we haven't had it at the time. So for example, from friends and family, we've borrowed vacuum cleaners because our vacuum cleaner died and we didn't have the funds to be able to get a new vacuum cleaner. We've also borrowed pressure washers and steam cleaners, so that's been really good, and it's something that we haven't had to pay to get and keep, which saves on storage space, but it enables us to be able to use it for just the time we need and returning it. Mind you, in saying that, it's always good to maybe borrow chocolate or some flowers to say thank you, because it's been a big saving and you are using the person's products. But in that, be mindful that you're also doing something that is affordable and not going to break the bank. If you buy a chocolate bar, for example, one of the bigger ones is around $5, and I think that's quite good compensation for the person that you borrow the item from, because you are actually using their product and it may have some wear and tear, so it's good to keep that in mind. But it is still frugal in my opinion. So one of the other things that we do, and I'm sure a lot of people do, and it's as old as time, is to use rags that you make from old clothes or old linens and fabrics that you may have. The Japanese have a wonderful way of making their own rags, and they stitch them together. I can't actually remember what it's called, unfortunately, but it's very interesting, and you can look online on how they make that and on Pinterest. But having rags that you can just wash and reuse is also good in saving money as well, because it's saving resources and it's a green way to do things. The only other thing I would suggest is making your own cleaning equipment or cleaning supplies. So you can do that simply by using things like vinegar, baking soda, or just even mixing a little tiny bit of washing liquid. I prefer Fairy. I think in America that's called Dawn. We use a green one here, and it works quite well. And for things like cleaning windows, you can just use your squeegee, cleaning cloth, and a little bit of dish soap in some hot water and it works really, really well, and it's not really an issue, and it's very easy to do. And you can clean your windows in an afternoon. And remember though, clean your windows when it's not a really hot day and when it's maybe a little bit overcast, because when you clean your windows in the hot weather, it can leave streaks. So the next area I want to look at is entertainment. So in our household, one of the biggest ways that we save money is to be able to use the library for DVDs. For books, I would spend an absolute fortune on books if I didn't have the library, because I read a lot, and I do mean I read a lot. And I often use books for resources, and sometimes those books are not available on Kindle, or even the Kindle books cost a lot. So my library has been an absolute godsend, and so I'm really glad for that. It's also been really good to be able to get some DVDs that are a bit harder to find and aren't on streaming services, because like a lot of things, the DVD stores, movie stores are no longer with us, and it's not like we can go down to the corner store and hire a video anymore. So the library is the way to do that, and I am actually really, really grateful, because it's saved me a fortune, and it can save you a fortune as well. So the next thing in entertainment is to only buy streaming services for a month at a time. So what we do in the summer holidays is get Disney Plus for just 1 month, as I said, and it enables us to watch shows and to take full advantage of Disney and all the videos that we can watch on there, movies we can watch on there. And my children don't feel that they are deprived by that, and they actually look forward to that month in the summer holidays. We normally do it in January, so that we can enjoy the new year, we can have a bit of a rest and have a cheap time together, especially when it's hot and we don't necessarily want to go out in the really hot weather. And that's especially the case because it's been in the 40s quite a few times, and I should say 40 degrees Celsius quite a few times, and the kids get ratty, and so that's a way that we're able to manage and survive those difficult times in the heat. So one thing that you can also do for entertainment is to take advantage of community free events. So for example, you might have an event like Australia Day that our community does, and our community provides a free breakfast and provides free activities. For example, our local celebrations for Australia Day includes a older gentleman that has a animal show with his birds and a cat and a rabbit, I think, and it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of a novelty, and it can be quite enjoyable, and it's a good way to be able to see other family members as well that come down to the event, and friends that we might catch up with and don't see regularly either. The other thing I wanted to say about entertainment is to have cheap hobbies. So for example, like I said before about the walking, you can do cheap things like that and have bushwalks, especially if you live in the bush. That's been really good for us as a family, and it's helped us to be able to relieve stress throughout the week. So we try and go on a bushwalk once or twice a week, and it really helps because the bush is near our house, so that's fantastic. But also picking hobbies that are cheap as well. So for example, you can pick up knitting supplies very cheaply at an opportunity shop. You can get a ball of wool, and you can get a pair of needles for about $2 or $3, if not less. And you can go onto YouTube, or once again, I mentioned the library, go to the library and get a knitting book, and you can learn to knit and you can make something with that. And that can also lead to an enjoyable hobby that, if you're mindful with how you do it, can be cheap. And it can also create a lifelong enjoyment of an ancient craft. And it can also be a way to have mindfulness in your life. And you could even create some birthday or Christmas presents as well, which can be a lot of fun as well. So the next area that I want to look at is transport. Excuse me. So for me and my family, if we can walk, we walk. And as my cousin says, I'll use my foot falcon. And I just love it when she says that. I think it's really cool. If you can avoid using your car, you can save a lot of money. So that means walking or using your push bike or skateboard or whatever you might want to add as well. So in order to save the car, I would say batch your jobs, and this is especially the case if you are traveling to a bigger city or a bigger town that has a lot of supplies and maybe resources that you need to access. If you are wanting to save money and not go there regularly, batch your jobs. So if you need to get a haircut and you're not cutting your own hair, do it then. If you want to go to the cheap shop to be able to get some cheap supplies, go then. If you need to go to the doctors, go then. But that actually leads to my next point with transport. If you can get a service online or on the phone that you can do in that way and not have to travel, so telehealth in this instance, I would say do telehealth, and you've saved yourself $20 or $30 by not having to travel to the next town, which is what it costs us to travel to the next town if we need to go to the doctor. So it's really beneficial to take advantage of telehealth if you can do that. If you can also carpool, I would suggest doing that if need be. And if you use public transport and have that available, I would use that as well. Transport, it might be a bit annoying, it might be frustrating at times, but use it. To make it a bit more enjoyable, do what I do, take a blanket, take my old MP3 player and listen to music and just try and have your own little bubble and not worry about other people. But for me, the key to public transport is to take that little blanket. I know it sounds really stupid, but a blanket really helps and it makes my trip more enjoyable, and I actually don't mind too much going on the public transport, and I think it helps with that. So the final area that I want to look at today is education. So I have had a lot of benefit from using free courses on Caruso, and it's been great to be able to revise my studies that I've been learning and studying. So I'm studying nursing, in case people don't know. So it's been really beneficial in being able to pick up skills. So for example, I did a short course on vital signs, and it helped to get some different insights into vital signs. So like if you go to the doctors and you have to have your blood pressure taken or your temperature, things like that. I've also done a course on music therapy and how that can be beneficial. But there's lots and lots of courses you can learn, things like Japanese, you can learn things like English grammar if you're wanting to learn English grammar. You can learn things like sciences, engineering, just multiple things. If people are interested in me doing a video on how you can get free education and do free courses and my thoughts on that, I'm happy to do that. If people suggest ideas in the comments below, I will be happy to do that. I would also say using YouTube has been really beneficial, and it can be a big saver. So for example, in needing to be able to change a tyre or change a washer in the bathroom to save on power bills, water bills from a leaking tap, it's been really beneficial in being able to learn how to do that. And I would say to take advantage of government initiatives and programs that might be in the case in existence. So for example, for many years, 5 to 10 years, I've been wanting to do a massage course. And I constantly went back and forward looking at different massage courses that I could potentially do, but I couldn't justify the price of $5,000 or $6,000. That's a lot of money. But because I regularly went back and checked on the courses on the websites, I discovered one day after all these years that the government was doing an initiative where I could have the massage course only cost me $190. So I tell you what, I was pretty quick on signing up for that. Excuse me. and I signed up, and so I'm now studying a massage course, and it's been really good. I've been really enjoying it, and it's saved me an absolute fortune, and it also gives me another skill set that I can use with my nursing, so I'm really glad for that. And the final thing that I want to say for education is to look at opportunity shops. So, for example, there was a textbook that I was after, and I've been wanting it for a while from the start of my course, and I couldn't justify the price. I've just been using the resources on the university website, and I ummed and ahed, should I get it, because it's a really useful resource. And I decided, no, I'll just keep waiting, I'll just see what happens. And I got this textbooks the other day for $10. So I've saved over $100, $150 on this textbook, and it only cost me $10. So keep your eyes open to situations where you can get textbooks for free. You can also borrow textbooks from the library or for friends or for those that are in the year before you, especially if you have good relationships with them and they're happy to lend it to you and you return it at the end of the semester. So that's a really good way to do it, and you can save a lot of money that way. And see if your course is also able to provide electronic copies of the resources and textbooks as well, because that can be really beneficial as well. So that's all the tips I've got for you today, and I am sure to add some more later on when I'm able, but this will at least get you started in being able to save some money to be able to get a house or to get rid of the debt that might be looming over your life, so that you're able to have a greater sense of peace and you're able to not have stress as much in your life. So I just want to say thank you that you spent this time with me today, and I hope that you have a really good day and that you have a successful journey. I just hope that you like and subscribe to this channel, and that you have a good day. Thank you. Bye.